Welcome to the Stay Grounded podcast, brought to you by JavaPresse Coffee Company. My name is Raj Jana, and I'm the Chief Brewing Officer here at JavaPresse, where we help people make daily happiness a priority using the coffee we love. I interview people from all walks of life to discuss happiness, success, fulfillment, and ways to infuse it all into daily life. I want to dissect different thought processes and turn them into powerful insights that empower you to stay grounded and make daily happiness and fulfillment a reality. So thanks for joining me today. Now, let's get to grinding. Welcome, everybody, to the Stay Grounded podcast. My name is Raj Jana, and I am your host. Today, we have got an incredible individual with us to chat about everything we love chatting about, which is how to make daily happiness easy in your life. So without further ado, I want to introduce my good friend, Allen Brouwer. Allen, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great, man. I'm so excited for this.
Good deal. Good deal. I'm excited to have you here. If you can't tell just by how excited I sound. So for everybody here, I'm going to give a quick bio into Allen, and then I'm just going to let him sort of fill in the spaces and give us a real sort of story about who he is, where he's come from, and what he's up to now. So Allen is the co-founder of a company called Best Self Co. They create an incredible productivity journal that I personally use in my day-to-day life and has helped me achieve a lot of my goals that I've set over the last couple of years. So thank you, Allen. But beyond that, Allen is an awesome guy who has got an incredible story of coming from rock bottom to creating incredible success in his life. And I think that Allen has a lot of insights for anybody who's wishing to turn their life around or take it to the next level. So without further ado, Allen, if you don't mind, man, tell us your story.
That was a great intro. Thank you.
You're welcome.
My story is a long one. Where shall I start?
Let's start from the beginning. So you started out as an entrepreneur, and then your journey through entrepreneurship and the valleys and the peaks, and sort of how you came here. I think a lot of people would be interested to hear just that.
Yeah. So I was working corporate life. They put a glass ceiling over me. I was young. I was hungry. I was about 25 years old. So I was just going nuts, just thinking about all the career moves that I could be making. And I felt trapped. Didn't really feel very fulfilled. So what I ended up doing was I heard about this thing called Shopify Build a Business competition. And it's where you start a company, sell products online, and hopefully you win. My company that I started was a clothing line and a brand called It's Not Clothing.
Nice.
And it was catering to college students, and all we created was tank tops and V-necks. That's it. Nothing else. Brilliant. Yes. And that was it. That was my first stab in entrepreneurship, taking the leap. And I didn't really get much success out of it, but I caught the bug. Fast forward a couple years, trying multiple things, helping people with marketing and digital marketing. My background is marketing. I was working in a company where I was a marketing manager. So I knew the ins and outs of how digital marketing worked.
Cool.
At a larger scale. So I took that and started helping other people with small businesses, almost opening up my own consultancy. Fast forward a little bit more, doing people with some side projects. That's when I joined an entrepreneur program online to build a SaaS product from scratch. That program had 600 students in it. One of those students is now my business partner today. Her name is Catherine Lavery.
She is wonderful.
Yes. And we started out as accountability partners in this program. We were accountability partners for a year as we were building up our own businesses. And then one time, right around the time that she said, hey, we should go into business together, I pretty much hit rock bottom. This was about 3 years ago. It was December. It was cold. Very cold. I think there was snow on the ground. And if you know anything about me, I really don't like cold weather. I'm more like an outdoorsy guy. I want to be outside. And long story short, let's paint the picture. December, I was dead broke. I had negative $44 in my bank account. I was playing a hobby of entrepreneurship, really. I kept telling everybody that I was an entrepreneur, but in reality, I was a wantrepreneur. couldn't even afford my fiance at the time a birthday card for her, because how are you going to spend money when you have negative money in your account?
Right.
I had Christmas presents that weren't purchased yet. Christmas was a few weeks away, and I was just in a down and out spot. So I dabbled in entrepreneurship. I acquired this skill set of marketing over the years, but I hadn't really done anything with it. And that was the time where I said, screw this. I'm going to take 100% control of my life. I'm never going to feel this way ever again. And I saw the power of accountability, and I wanted to hold myself accountable. So I actually recorded a video on this day, and I pretty much shared to the world, guys, this is the last time I will ever be in this situation. I'm taking 100% control of my life for my outcomes. And that was the tipping point. Since that day, started 2 different companies. One company with Catherine when we first started was an e-commerce brand. We ended up selling that business to focus and double down on the company that I'm working on today. That company, as you mentioned in your intro, is Best Self Co. Best Self Co. creates tools to help people reach their goals, unlock their potential, and live a life they would be proud of. It's based around productivity, performance, and positivity. And some of those tools are day planners, notebooks, journals, some office supplies, and we just tapped into software, building out a Chrome extension, and soon to come, and maybe a mobile app. But you didn't hear that from me.
I didn't hear that from you. Yeah, I don't think you're giving yourself enough credit. I mean, I think a lot of people have this tipping point where they hit rock bottom, or they feel like they're hitting rock bottom. What made you want to change? And what made you want to stay accountable to yourself? Was it the fact that you saw accountability work with Catherine well, or like, because a lot of people, like, they feel that, but they don't do anything about it. So do you have any advice for people who might be at rock bottom or feel like they're hitting rock bottom, and how to sort of turn that into fuel like you did?
It was an internal shift. I'd been accountability partners with Catherine for a year by that point, and I saw that it worked. But the real shift was internal, and it was no longer making excuses for this outcome happening. It was no longer pointing the finger in other directions. The only way that I could point my finger was back at myself, really. And until I did that, that was the tipping point.
Essentially, you took all the either it can be negativity, blame, or wherever your attention was, and you focus that attention inward, and you use that to fuel yourself, which I think is brilliant. So I think I want to segue that into a conversation. So that's been a consistent thing that you've done over time, and it's obviously compounded to where you are now. When we say Allen is a productivity and goal setting expert, I don't say that lightly. In about 2 years since starting Best Self Co., Allen has propelled his business, his life, and his legacy to unknown heights. He won Forbes 30 Under 30 last year, within a year of starting his company, and I think maybe a year and a half of hitting rock bottom. He just got back from a week-long retreat with Tony Robbins, Marie Forleo, and other incredible business icons, and he's earned his way there. So for everybody listening here, I just want to give you a little bit of context. Allen is a gem when it comes to really understanding the human psyche and how to use it to propel yourself in a positive manner. So now that we've framed that, Allen, I would love for you to share some insights on sort of how you created this amazing change for yourself, and how you fostered that on a daily basis. So what kind of routines did you follow and all that stuff?
So after I hit rock bottom, I realized, I have to change what I'm doing. Well, how can I make big changes? Well, you start with small changes and then stack it up. Is really what it came down to. It's, I want to change my life. Well, my life, that's a pretty big thing to change. Well, how do I change like something smaller? How do I break this down into little things that I can do to just make me better? So what things do I do to put a positive frame, to change the frame of what I'm trying to achieve in life? Some things that I do personally are I am extremely intentional with my time. That is the first thing. And we are constantly distracted with people pulling us in different directions, other people's agendas, meetings, notifications on our phone, notifications on our laptop, phone calls, text messages. It's a noisy environment. The first thing I did was get really intentional with my time and break it down into half-hour segments. And once I realized how much time I was wasting in the day, I said, okay, all this time that I'm wasting, I have so much room to put positive things in. So what I ended up doing was filling those voids, those big blank white spaces of time with daily meditation, with working out, with reading. How can I sharpen my skills as a marketer or just a business owner? With connecting with people. And I started finding things that worked for me as far as daily routines to help fill those voids of time where I wasn't working on anything productive or meaningful.
I love that. So you essentially took your day and all the time in your day, and anytime you felt like there was idle time, you filled it with something constructive or positive that would help you essentially sharpen yourself and bring yourself into this phase of just consistent productivity and this space that just helps you be happier, healthier, and all of the above.
Absolutely.
I think that's awesome. And I think that's definitely something that a lot of people. So let me ask you this. I find myself having a lot of blank space throughout my day, and I might not always think the first thing is to flip it and bust out a book and start reading, or maybe something's happened in my day where I don't have control over, and I'm not necessarily, I don't have the answer in front of me of what I can do instead with my time. So how do you navigate through sort of like the ups and downs of just a day? Because it sounds like, you're very intentional with this time I'm going to use for this time I'm going to use for this. But when things don't work out and that throws a wrench in your day, how do you sort of battle that and combat it?
Sure. So one thing that I do is I front load my day with the most important stuff. So for example, I wake up and I have a morning routine that I do. And that morning routine focuses on key elements that just make me the best that I can be. And that is all internally focused. That's spiritual, mental, physical, emotional, all those well-beings. And I hit all of those every morning. What that does is a lot of people go to work and then maybe they'll work out in the afternoon, or they'll go to work and maybe consume some knowledge while they're on their lunch break, or go to work and then work out after work. And what normally happens is you get so tired from working that working out is now on the back burner. And then if that repeats a few days in a row, then that turns into a few weeks in a row. And now you haven't been to the gym or gone on a run or done anything active in such a long time. So why I put that in the beginning of my day is because once I'm full, then I can give everything else. So I know that my health is sound. I know that my mental and emotional well-being is sound because I meditate every morning. I make sure that, I'm consuming some book, whether it's audio form while I'm working out, or I take just 15 minutes to read in the morning. Now I'm sharpening my mental knowledge. And once I have that preloaded in the day, then I jump into the most productive thing that I could be doing with my time first thing in the morning. And by this time, I haven't opened up my email. I haven't sent out any text messages. I haven't checked in with my team. The only thing that I've done is worked on myself. And then now I'm working on the highest leverage activity. Then after this, now any free time that comes in place, whether it's free space or a meeting gets canceled and now I've got a block of time, it really doesn't matter what I put in there because everything's already done and taken care of. So it could be a book. Great. Yep. Let's pick up that book and continue reading where I left off. It could be, oh, you know what? I saw this one video or someone recommended that I watched this TED Talk or something like that. Now I can fill my time with 18 minutes right here. Or it's just, I don't want to do anything. And maybe I could just take the dog for a walk, but I have that option, right? Because I front loaded everything. And I think that's where it comes down to.
I think that is brilliant. That's a concept that I try to practice with our own company. It's just this idea of taking care of yourself first. and making sure the tank is full before you go out and do everything else. Because if you can't take care of yourself, you can't take care of anyone else, which is ultimately why people crash. I think that's brilliant. And I love that you've done that. I think that gives a lot of perspective, especially for a lot of people working full-time jobs where they might not have complete control over their time and they're feeling pulled in different directions. I think that's wonderful. So let me ask you this. What kind of role do your routines actually play in your life? I mean, do you have a routine like when you're traveling and your routines, like it's probably different. Like when you're on the go, how do you stay settled in routine? Do you have things that you take with you? How do you keep the tank full when sometimes things are not always going your way?
That's a great question. So I just moved recently, and I also travel a lot for work, whether I'm going to a conference or I'm speaking at a conference or, just going to a mastermind, something along those lines. I'm on the road a lot. But for this example, I moved, but I had to be out of my first home before moving into my second home for over 2 months. I was in an environment that I wasn't used to. I was just surrounded by people who I'm not normally surrounded with. And I was practically living out of a suitcase because everything that I owned was in storage.
Right.
The only thing that kept me moving forward were my routines. And some days I wasn't able to get to my full routine, but here's what I've put in place. I have a full routine that I normally have. And if the planets align and everything's perfect and I'm in my own home, I can do it. It takes a little bit longer. When I'm on the road, I have a different routine that I do that hits all the points, but maybe it doesn't take as long, but I get the 80-20 out of it. So I'm able to downgrade or upgrade my routine based on what's happening in my life at that time. Maybe I'm putting out fires until 1 a.m. Because we're coming up to like this big digital launch that we're about to do with the business. So I'm a little tired and I'm a little drained first thing in the morning. So maybe I don't have as much steam as I would to do an hour and a half full blown morning routine. So now I just go down to the 20-minute one and then get into my day.
Let me ask you this. What are some of those non-negotiables that you distill your routine down to?
First and foremost is meditation. If I can't do anything except meditate, I'm perfect. It's
right. Okay.
It's really transformed. That's really my non-negotiable. It's meditate and actually, I swear, Raj did not pay me for this. It's a cup of coffee. I swear. Perfect. I swear it's those two non-negotiables. I really do need a cup of coffee and to meditate. And as long as I have that, I can rock out the rest of the day.
Let me ask you this. Do you feel like that cup of coffee sort of plays into meditation in a way, whether it be like, does your routine of coffee, what about the coffee makes you feel like it's absolutely necessary? Is it because for me, at least, I'm somewhat the same way. If I can't do anything in my mornings, I mean, I have to have my cup of coffee. And for me, it's almost like that first sip almost serves like just this warm thing that goes down my body. So like, and for me, almost that's almost a sort of meditation or therapeutic feeling. It's like, okay, your day is going to be okay. Let's get going kind of thing. So like, what kind of role does coffee actually play into your morning routine? Have you thought about it in that sense?
So in the morning, when I wake up at home, my wife, Lauren, loves when we have our cup of coffee together in the morning. It's a sense of connection before she runs out the door and goes to work and I go off and do whatever I'm about to do, which is mostly working, except I work from home, which is so, but it's our chance to bond and connect in the morning before the day gets ahead of us. And it's that connection. When I'm solo and I have a cup of coffee, it's almost like I'm connecting to myself. So I guess the answer is connection, but it's connecting in two different ways. One, connecting with the person that I'm having that cup of coffee with. And if there's no one there, then I'm just connecting with myself because I'm just in my own thought. I'm in the present moment and I'm just being.
I like that. No, that makes complete sense. And I never actually thought of it from a sense of connectedness, but ultimately my morning routine for me, it serves as this chance to connect with myself because I feel like I'm running so fast throughout the day.
Totally.
And so I can definitely see how a cup of coffee sort of plays into that. And yes, guys, I did not pay Allen to do all this. So anyways,
you know what's so I just created a vlog of winning the Shopify, build a bigger business. And the morning that I woke up for ringing the New York Stock Exchange opening bell, I was up at like 4:30. I was ready to go. I was like, morning routine out of the way. So at 4:30 in the morning, I'm in the lobby of this hotel. I'm like, where's the coffee? Because they didn't have any in the room. They told me, gosh, coffee isn't served until 6:30. I'm like, what do you guys sleep in around here? Come on. I'm like, I need it.
Yeah.
I need it.
Well, no, I'll have to hook you up with the travel coffee setup. I'll take care of you later. But no, because I think most people, and the reason I want to get deep into your routines when you're traveling and when things aren't going right, because it's very easy to have everything in a perfect world. Like on a Saturday morning when there's tons of time, it's really easy to wake up when you want to wake up and have that time to yourself. But when push comes to shove and you're in a hurry, I think most people drop their routines. Mm-hmm. So I think it's nice to hear from somebody who's had so much success with their routines that you don't have to do the whole thing. You can do what works for you as long as you're making time for yourself is what I just took away from you. And I think that's a huge component. And I want to kind of segue that actually into what you just said about having a cup of coffee with your wife in the morning and like you being connected with yourself. How does gratitude sort of play into all of this? Like, is that something you cultivate on a daily basis? Is that something that is part of your meditations or this connectedness routine? Could you expand on that?
Yeah. So gratitude and appreciation are intertwined in my life incredibly. It's one of the, I think it's one of the fundamental pieces that has helped me become so successful, whatever success looks like to anybody. But it started out with how can I write down or just be grateful on a daily basis? And one thing that I found out early on is when you're grateful for things, you find more reasons to be more grateful for things. And then once you're more grateful for things, it's just like this hamster wheel that cycles itself. And I've been stuck in a hamster wheel of negativity. I've been surrounded by people who are stuck in a hamster wheel of negativity. And it's just so much more refreshing to live a life in a positive light that's constantly fueled by positivity and gratitude and appreciation. And when that happens, when you're doing that to yourself, you then spill that off to other people, and then you're surrounded by other positive people as well. And when I found that out early on, I realized, okay, well, how can I do this? How can I be more grateful for the things that I do have in my life? And it was very simple. I had a blank moleskin and I planned out my day, and just beneath my day, I started writing down 3 things that I was grateful for every morning. And what happens is, I'm not the only one, I've heard this hundreds of times before, is people get complacent with the things that they write down. So if you're already doing this practice and you feel like, oh yeah, I've done that before, it doesn't work for me. What I found is I would write my wife, my dog, my home, my truck, my wife, my dog, my home, my truck. And seriously, like that was the list, it just kept doing that. So I actually learned this from Marie Forleo. And what she told me was, when you're being grateful for something, it's not how many things you can spray out to be grateful for. It's the laser focused way that you can be grateful for one thing. And instead of writing down 3 things every morning, I now write down one thing and then 3 reasons why. And what that does, it allows me to get laser focused and really think about, why am I grateful for this? Rather than just having it as a routine that I jot down and then turn the page.
I love that. I'm definitely going to steal that. I think that's so powerful. I fall into this trap, and then it cheapens the exercise when it's just like this. It's just like a routine. It's like listing it out. All right, next thing. Right. So I think the way you do it is so intentional. And I think I want to just give you a little plug, man. I mean, like just everything you do just is so intentional and I'm sure this has been something that's cultivated over time. How did you cultivate this mindset of being so intentional with what you're doing? Are there any practices that you can recommend, books, mentors, just resources you can recommend to people so that they can cultivate this attitude of gratitude, as I like to call it? I mean, is there anything that you can recommend?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a ton of research and resources out there. And I've probably read every single book and been to a bunch of seminars and been mentored and coached by individuals who are leaders in this field. A few places to start if you're just starting out. One, pick up The Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod.
Great book.
That triggered how I start my morning and develop a morning routine. So that'll help with that. As far as gratitude goes, one book that you can pick up that really hit home, like taking 100% control and 100% responsibility for your actions is, I actually have a couple, but the first one that comes to mind is The Success Principles by Jack Canfield. I know he's updated that for like the digital marketing age, but I haven't read that one. It was the original. And the original will do you just fine. There's also sort of a semi-confrontational book. I think that's the best way to describe it. It's the number one book I recommend to everybody, and it's called Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill.
God, yeah. That book it's a doozy.
And that one will really cement you into how am I showing up? What purpose do I have here? And am I utilizing my time on earth for that purpose? And it's all about having definite purpose, really. It's the number one book I recommend to everybody. Have you read it, Raj?
I absolutely have. And I cannot agree with you more, really. That book changed a lot for me. Extremely confrontational. I think actually he wrote it in like the 1920s, but wasn't allowed to get it published until like 5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah, something like that.
It's something crazy. Yeah, it was so confrontational to the conventional ways of thinking. But yeah, great recommendations. I have not read The Success Principles, so I'll definitely have to pick that up. But that's great. So, and I think the main point I want to bring up with that is, this isn't something you were born with.
No.
This is something you cultivated over time. This is something that you created for yourself over time, which I hope people can take inspiration from. The listeners here can take inspiration from to create for themselves.
And that's why I love your podcast, because my number one like core driving value in my life is like, hey, I found this for myself, and why does this feel like it's hidden to the rest of the world? And I want to just share that with everyone. And that's what you're doing. You're giving people the flashlight to say, hey, look over here in this dark spot that really isn't that dark and scary. You could do anything that you want, anything that you think is possible, right? There's no such thing as natural born talent.
You having people like you on the podcast definitely makes it easy, Allen. I appreciate the kind words, but no, I mean, I look up to you in many ways, and this is definitely one of the biggest. And you create, like I said, you've just created this almost like this attractive energy around you. And I think you said it well earlier. It's this positivity hamster wheel. The faster you run on it, the faster you feel like things are just coming towards you, and you're attracting that. To somebody who might feel skeptical about, just a simple change like just mindset. How do you show the light to somebody who says, oh, you know what? Thinking about this stuff isn't really going to change anything. How do you help people sort of see that in their lives? Like, is there anything that you can recommend, or at least practices where you can help people sort of take a chance on this idea of just positive thoughts and positive thinking?
First off, it boggles me It boggles my mind that there are people that just say, you know what, I'd rather just be negative the rest of my life.
Yeah,
So,
it's
like what?
yeah, no, it's crazy. And I think I'll rephrase. People who might be going through tough times.
Sure.
I think that's what I'm more people who might not feel like they see the light at the end of the tunnel. Mm-hmm. When you and I both know that the light at the end of the tunnel is only shown if you pull out the flashlight and shine it there.
Sure.
So how do you help people who might be in that space to sort of see their own worth and help themselves just pick themselves up and create this life that you've so amazingly created for yourself?
Just know that anything that you want to do is 100% possible. The only limitation that you have is in your own mind. And here's the thing. Those limitations weren't put there by you. They were put there by other people. And now you're believing what other people have pretty much brainwashed you to believe. You're never going to be good at this. You're not smart enough. What makes you think that you can do that? Like all these mechanisms to keep you trapped in one way of thinking is not serving you anymore. And as soon as you break through that, now here's the thing. Just know that those people aren't doing anything malicious. They're not trying to literally hold you down and keep you down from achieving greatness. They're doing it out of love because they don't want to see you be hurt or fail or experience pain. And that just goes back to the way that we're wired from when we were living in caves. It's like, hey, let's just try to keep everybody safe. But right now, in this day and age, if you're listening to this podcast, you are perfectly fine with taking risks and just believing in yourself that you can do something big, that you can do something meaningful, and that you can and you have everything that you need to get you where you want to go. So by changing your frame into a positive frame set and a positive mindset and giving yourself the belief that you can do that, now triggers you to act in 100% belief. Because what happens when you have act 50-50, Raj, you know this, nothing ever happens. You're half in and you're half out. You had one foot out the door before you even walked in, and you were never really committed because you had that doubt. But once you switch that to 100% positive, that yes, things will come in my way, but I am determined to get through this, you're going to have the outcomes that you want because you push through with 100% positivity.
You're all in and you're all out. I think
Totally.
That's 100% true. And, I've always, I don't know where I heard this quote, but it was, 99% or 100% commitment is a breeze, 99% commitment is a bitch.
Totally.
And I think I've actually got that written in my bathroom, just like, so I remember that if I'm going to do something, go all in. And, and that can mean a lot of different things. It doesn't have to mean, go all in on your business or it's just whatever you choose to go all in on, just go all in and make a decision to be happier. And I think, like I said, Allen, you of all people have created this life for yourself that is such an inspiration for myself. And I know all of our listeners are, I know if I was a listener, I'd be just jumping up right now, wanting to just change my life. And so I love that, man. And so tell me this. So, in the midst of all your successes and achievements, how do you stay grounded every day?
The funny answer that I wanted to give is like, well, I have a wife, she puts me in my place, but kidding aside, how do I stay grounded every day? What does that mean to you?
I think it can mean a couple of things, and I'll let you choose which version you want it to mean for you. Sure. Grounded can mean in the midst of having all this just things happening and things going around. How do you stay focused on taking care of yourself? That's I think my interpretation is in this midst where you're just in this space now where it's easier. You're doing so many cool things. There's this, like you're launching new products, you're meeting cool people, and there's all these opportunities that are coming your way. How do you still find the time to take care of yourself? I think that's one version. And then the second version is in the midst of all of your successes, how do you not lose yourself in the grandeur of everything you're doing? How do you stay grounded to who you are and what's important to you? So you can go down either path or answer both, whichever you choose.
Sure. How do I take care of myself every day? I have to go back to meditation. By meditating every day, it really just keeps me focused and centered on what's truly important, right? Keeps me focused and centered on what I need to do. Keeps me focused on and centered on who do I need to support? Who do I need to help? Is it my customers? Is it my family? Is it myself? Is it my team? It really does clear out a lot of the fog and the distraction that would normally come to a lot of people who are doing big things. And even if you're working in a job, you've got a lot of stuff coming at you from all different directions. That's one. The second one was, so that's for the health and staying grounded. And then the other one is, how do I stay grounded? And pretty much, how does my ego not swallow me up? Really, is that the second part of it?
That could be, yeah.
I know why I'm doing what I'm doing, and writing down my goals every morning and writing down why those goals are important to me keeps me grounded in the why and not the fluff and filler and the fame and the spotlight and all that shit that really doesn't matter. I want to do big things because it provides bigger impact. And when I impact more people can experience a life of abundance. Really.
I love that, man. I love that. And could not agree more with just the concept of why. Quick note, I just wanted to ask you, for people, you mentioned meditation having such a positive impact on your life. For people who don't already meditate, do you have any resources that you can recommend for them to get started without having that wall in the way of saying, I don't know how to meditate, or that sounds too woo-woo-y for me, or anything along those lines?
Sure. So let me start off by saying there is no wrong way to meditate. And meditation can come in many different forms. So if you go for a run every morning without headphones in, without, distraction, and you're just in your thoughts that's a form of meditation, right? But traditional quote unquote meditation, if you want to get into it, there is no wrong way to do it. It's simply breathing, focusing on your breath, and doing that for a period of time, whether it's 3 minutes, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour, whatever. Some ways to start. The best and easiest way is an app called Headspace. Me personally, I think that is the best app out there. For that, it helps you navigate the unknown of like, okay, what is meditation? And they do it in a way that anybody, whether you're a 6-year-old or whether you're a 60-year-old and you've never done it before, you can relate to it. And they start you out small, baby steps to get the ball rolling. And then if you like it and you enjoy it, my recommendation is at least do it for 2 weeks, because there is that time and process where there's going to be a lot of chatter in your brain when you're first starting. Once you get through that chatter after like day 7, then you'll find like, oh, I actually am enjoying this. And you'll start seeing the positive benefits of it.
Love that. Love it, man. This has been such a constructive, episode with so many actionable little insights that I'm personally going to be implementing in my own day to day. And I think, again, I want to give you a plug, Allen. I mean, you've really created this life for yourself. Nothing was handed to you. It's been so amazing just seeing you achieve the way you've achieved and how you've manifested this reality from where you were to where you are now. And I think that just by this conversation we're having right now, you can tell that it's not something that fell in your lap. It's something that you practiced, and it's something that you cultivated and really just created for yourself. And I don't think there's anything more inspirational than that. So I really want to thank you so much for being here with us and sharing your story and inspiring everybody listening, including myself. So I wanted to sort of wrap everything up Obviously, you've got an amazing company, Best Self Co. For anybody who is looking for and I'm not going to let you sell your product. I'm going to sell it for you because I love it so much. The Best Self Journal has been my number one tool of success as we were growing JavaPresse to different heights. And it isn't just for people who are building businesses. It's for people who are trying to make positive change in their life and want a structured way and a amazing community to support you do that. So for anybody who's interested in a Best Self Journal, please visit bestself.co and check out their website. Like I said, they have a ton of actionable and helpful stuff there. And Allen, if anybody who listening to this podcast episode wanted to reach out and talk to you about meditation or any questions like that, would you mind sharing your contact info for folks to reach out?
Yeah, absolutely. But first, anyone who's listening, if you're listening to this podcast, let's use discount code because I want to give your audience a discount. If they feel so inclined to come to the site, by the way, we give everything away for free. You can download everything that we have on our site and use it, print it out yourself. But if you want to spend money with us, we'll make you spend not as much money. Use discount code JavaPresse10. And that'll give you a discount to the store.
Perfect. That is very generous of you, Allen. And like I said, I know that a lot of people here will find that journal useful. So anyways,
how can they connect with me? You can connect with me on Facebook. And I have a blog where I share a lot of what we talked about today, as well as marketing strategies, growth strategies on what I'm doing with Best Self over at allenbrouwer.com.
Perfect. Well, again, Allen, thank you so much for being here, brother. This has been a pleasure. And so that's it for us today, guys. Hope you enjoyed this amazing episode with Allen. And until next time, stay grounded. Thanks for joining us today on this episode of the Stay Grounded podcast brought to you by JavaPresse Coffee Company. My name is Raj, and I hope you found this interview helpful as you create your own ways to make daily happiness a priority. If you're interested in learning more about how your morning coffee can turn into a consistent source of joy in your life, visit www.javapresse.com to learn how our products can help you do that and use the coupon code PODCAST for 10% off your purchase. Again, thanks so much for joining us. Stay grounded.